What's good, everybody, man? Today, I'm about to be making fights for the winners and some of the losers for UFC 311. I thought it was a great card in terms of entertainment, but my predictions were horrible. I'm going to clean that up. It was the worst I've ever done in a long time, actually, in the time I've had this channel. So it's definitely going to get cleaned up. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's hop right into the first one, which is going to be Amir Albazi versus Tagir Ulanbekov. Tagir got a win versus Clayton Carpenter, a good fighter, and he is ranked. And he should fight up in the rankings. And Amir Albazi is a guy who really hasn't deserved his ranking spot. You know, he beat Kai Kara France in a very, very close fight. And I thought he lost, actually. And now he's very highly ranked. And overall, Tagir might not deserve this fight, but it is a fun stylistic fight. Both guys can really wrestle, and both guys are solid on the feet, but their game is the wrestling. I think you see a lot of good scrambles in this fight. Maybe throw it on like a main card, just a main card opener or a featured prelim. I do think this would be a fun scrap, and I definitely want to see it. So that's going to be the first one. Next up, man, this is an incredible fight. It really is. If you know, you know. Ramon Taveras, a great boxer, fast hands, powerful, good southpaw striker with good head movement. I would say he is the better striker overall in this fight. The better mixed martial artist is Bernardo Sopai, who just got a win over Ricky Tercios, which was a pretty good one. His first win, kind of got comfortable with the octagon and got a big win there. This kid's solid, man. He's very good. And I called him a kid, but this dude's good, man. He is young. I believe he's 24 or 25. He's got a great skill set, man. He can wrestle. He can strike. He has great kicks. I do believe he is the more complete fighter, but, there's danger in Ramon Taveras. The dude's got some nasty, nasty, nasty hands, and I do think that this would be an incredibly fun fight. And Sopai has great hands, great combinations, good kicks. Both guys are, for the most part, strikers. I would definitely lean on Sopai to be, a bit more better with the wrestling. But Taveras has good sprawls, and he is a good scramble. I think this is a really, really fun fight that you could just throw on a prelim on an Apex card. Both guys are, pretty low ranked in the bantamweight division as for now. And I do think this is a really, really fun fight, and I'm really hoping this one gets booked. I love this fight. Next up, Muin Gafurov coming off a huge win over Rinya Nakamura. Probably the only bet I hit last card, where I did sprinkle a little bit on Muin because I thought the line was crazy. I did pick Rinya, but I did talk about Muin's ability to upset him here. And now he finds himself in a spot where he just beat a pretty good prospect. And now I think he should fight Douglas Silva de Andrade. I think this is a sick fight. Another one. Muin is a underrated fun fighter. The dude comes forward and he scraps, man. He's not playing around. The dude can scrap. And Silva de Andrade is known for his durability, his heavy hands, his spinning kicks. He's a fun fighter. I think this is a great matchup. It makes sense in terms of the rankings as well. Muin's on a 2-fight win streak. Silva de Andrade just lost a decision to Miles Johns. I think this one makes a lot of sense, and it is a good, fun fight as well. So that's going to be the third one. Next up, Grant Dawson versus Beneil Dariush. Now, this one can be a little bit hairy. Grant Dawson at the moment is not even ranked in the lightweight division, which I do think is a little bit crazy. He's coming off a nice win over Diego Ferreira where he looked fantastic. And Beneil, on the other hand, I believe he's number 10 in lightweight. So you're going to be giving Grant Dawson a bit of a gift here. But honestly, I do think the guy deserves it. He has lost to Bobby Green, but he's only lost one fight in the UFC, I believe. And damn, man, the dude's got some crazy control. And overall, this matchup seems to be a good one, right? Beneil is known for his brick wall takedown defense. Really hard to take down. And Grant Dawson has some of the best control in lightweight. Simple as that. The dude is a master on the ground, a master of, holding you down. And Beneil's a really hard guy to take down. In terms of the striking, you definitely lean Beneil's way. Grant Dawson has no durability. And I don't like how he talks shit about Dricus, and I'm a little confused on that. But I do think that this is a really good fight, and I want to see who would come out on top because, man, you got Grant Dawson's teammate, Mateusz Gamrot, who lost to Beneil Dariush and kind of got, checked, right? He got smoked. And Dawson, I do believe, is the better, the better control grappler than a guy like Gamrot. He can control you for much longer periods of time. And I just don't even know if he's going to let Grant Dawson, or if Beneil's going to let Grant Dawson get to a position like that because Beneil's so dominant and good on the ground. So it's definitely an interesting, fun fight. And not much to worry about in terms of the knockout ability from Grant Dawson unless it's ground and pound. But he doesn't have much. ability to knock you out on the feet. So I think it's a good fight for Beneil, and I do want to see this one. Next up, a good one here, Bogdan Guskov, Dustin Jacoby. Now, Bogdan Guskov just got a win over my janitor, I think. So, look, man, he was supposed to fight Johnny Walker. I do think he probably would have won that matchup, but you did see him get his back taken immediately. And I imagine that Walker was going to look to wrestle Bogdan because Bogdan's a monster on the feet with his just coming forward, just nonstop, just trying to kill you. And, you got Dustin Jacoby on the other end who just got a finish over Vitor Petrino. And Vitor was looked at pretty good. Now, Jacoby's right outside that top 15, and Bogdan is number 13, I believe, in light heavyweight. So this matchup is actually pretty fun. You got a more powerful striker versus a more technical guy like Jacoby, a guy who can put up numbers, but Bogdan can really, end the fight with one punch. And I would expect him to do that in this fight. I think he would finish Dustin Jacoby and knock him out stiff on the canvas. So this would be a sick fight, though, and I definitely think it'd be a fun one to watch. Bogdan Guskov is always going to be fun to watch unless he gets taken down, but I like this fight a lot, and I definitely think you could, just put this on a prelim of a pay-per-view or maybe the main card of a fight night. It'd be nice as well, co-main or featured fight as well. I do think this is a solid matchup. Next up, I have Azamat Bakoyev versus the Iron Turtle. This is a tough, stiff matchup. Bakoyev just coming off a win over Zachary Reese where he just kind of put Zachary Reese unconscious. I don't really know how. And I didn't even think he was unconscious. I remember my reaction. I was just like, how is he unconscious? You know what I mean? But Jun Young Park, a guy who's balanced, a guy who prefers to wrestle, but he will stand on the feet, and he is good on the feet. In my eyes, I do believe he's the better striker in terms of the overall technique. And Bakoyev is okay on the feet. But I think this is a good matchup. Bakoyev's talking about top 15. Bro, you got to chill out a little bit, man. You just beat Reese, who's not really even in the top 30. So this is a good matchup, and I think Park would take the dub here, and I hope he would. But, yeah, I do think that this is a solid matchup that we'll see good scrambles, good jiu-jitsu on both ends. So, yeah, next up. Hani Barcelos versus Adrian Yanez. Now, Barcelos came off a historic win. I want to say historic win over Peyton Talbot, where he was a plus 800 underdog or plus 700, and he just took Peyton Talbot to school, took him down, wrestled him, and it was a good performance from him. Great performance, actually. And I knew the guy was training hard. I looked at his Instagram, and the dude was just grinding. He is 37. Yanez is coming off a loss versus Marcos. I believe Yanez is coming off. I think he's 1-3 in his last 4. So, he's got something to prove. Hani is a guy who is a good boxer, not as good as Yanez, not as fast as Yanez, but Hani has that wrestling he can go to. And I do think that this is a really fun scrap. I think it's probably, I think we'll probably see this, to be honest with you. But I do love this fight. Peyton Talbot. Now, a lot to say about this guy because he was a huge favorite versus Hani Barcelos, and I knew the guy wasn't as developed on the ground, but I didn't think he was that underdeveloped on the ground because Hani Barcelos, while he is a good grappler, he's not an insane grappler, and it was hard for me to find a matchup for Peyton Talbot where I know he can win, okay? And Gaston Bolaños is one of those, okay? Gaston Bolaños coming off a win versus Cortavius Romeus, where he controlled that fight, looked pretty good. And he is a Muay Thai striker, and he has been knocked out. He got schooled by Marcus McGee. I would expect Talbot to probably do the same thing, or even, maybe not exactly the same thing. McGee's a really good boxer. But I do expect Talbot would get the finish here. But this is a good scrap, right? You need to get Talbot on the right track. The UFC is going to want to do that. If you look outside the bantamweight, like where Talbot is ranked in above, you're going to run into guys who are balanced and good grapplers, okay? That will be taking Peyton Talbot down. And Bolaños is below Talbot, but he's not going to take Talbot down probably. He might shoot, but he's not a good wrestler. So I do think that this is a good matchup for Talbot to get him right back on track, and I would pick him to win this one pretty easily. Next up, Renier de Ridder, Jack Hermanson. Now, Renier de Ridder I don't know if I want to just give him a top 15 fight But when you look at him, he's 35. He's a double champion one. The UFC is going to try to give him as many fights as they can. And I do think when you look at this fight, it's a good scrap. Now, I expect Jack Hermansson, if this were to happen, I think he'd smoke Renier de Ridder, honestly. Hermansson has great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling, but he's much, much, much better on the feet than Renier de Ridder. I would expect Hermansson to clean the board and absolutely wipe Renier de Ridder if this fight were to happen. Now, he is coming off a first-round finish over Holland, which is, I don't want to say it's that impressive because I don't even know if Holland takes his career serious anymore. But he is a guy who was previously ranked, and I think he'll get an opportunity like this, and I do think that Hermansson isn't booked right now. I don't know where he is. I mean, he fought Joe Pyfer, beat Joe Pyfer, just vanished off the face of the earth. And I do think that Renier's going to want to get back in there. You saw how quickly he wanted to get back in there after the fight with Gerald Meerschaert. And I think Hermansson would smoke him here. But I do think this is a fun matchup and a really hard matchup for Renier de Ridder that I would probably pick Hermansson in 100 or probably 90 out of 100 times. So, yeah. Next up, Jailton Almeida. Big win over Sergey Spivak. I did pick Spivak, and he was having success, and he just kind of fell apart. It sucked. I was really excited for that fight, and I knew Spivak was going to give him some issues, but it didn't last, all right? Jailton Almeida came out and got the win, and he called out Cyril the Quitter Gane, and I actually like the fight. I hope, Jailton Almeida puts Cyril Gane flattens him out and just beats the hell out of him, honestly. I'm not a fan of Cyril Gane. If you've watched the channel, you should know that. I really, really don't like him. He's a quitter and a clown. And I think Almeida would beat the brakes off him. I don't expect Cyril to take the fight. Of course not. I mean, the dude is a legit quitter. He doesn't want to fight the hard fighters. And it sucks that this guy has to represent France, man, because they have such good fans, and it sucks for them. But I would pick Jailton to beat the legit hell out of Cyril Gane. So I think this matchup should happen, but I doubt Cyril Gane will take the fight. Next up, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. Now, this was already booked, and Khalil Roundtree popped for roids, so it had to get taken away. And Jamal, I don't think, was ready for that fight. But Khalil Rountree's coming off a good performance from him, an embarrassing performance from Alex Pereira, where he gave Pereira a pretty tough fight. Like I said again, man, embarrassing for Pereira. I don't know, and now people are gonna think that Khalil's just some killer. He's not. He's a pretty good fighter with no gas tank. And I would expect Jamal to come in here and beat the shit out of Roundtree. I'm not going to lie to y'all. He did not look as good as I thought versus Prochazka. And I did feel like he kind of gave into the chaos of Prochazka when he could have just, kept digging to that body. And he was doing good work there. And then he kind of just fell apart, fell into the trap. He won the second round, lost the first one. It was a great fight overall, and Hill is a durable, tough dude. I do imagine he'll be out we probably won't see him till November, and maybe they'll make this fight, maybe not. They like Roundtree a lot, and people seem to think that this guy's, just going to run through everybody, right? He's not. I mean, I'd pick Nikita Krylov to absolutely drown him. So I would pick Jamal to beat, Roundtree pretty easily, and I think it's a good fight. Next up, Yuri. Now, I didn't want to originally give Yuri a title shot, but when you look at it, man, what is he supposed to do, right? Look, he came off a great performance, and I thought that was one of the best performances of his career, easily. He looked so mumuch better than Pereira 1, than Pereira 2. He looked good in the Pereira 1 fight, but I think that was more on Pereira just, barely being a 205er at that point. When you look at the new Pereira, he's way more filled out. And I do believe that Prochazka, he is going to deserve this shot, okay? Because I know he got smoked by Pereira twice, but who else has he got, man? He came and fought Jamal Hill, beat him, right? After he lost to Pereira the first time, he comes back, or it might have been it was the first time. He goes versus Rakic and beats him, okay? And then he gets knocked out by Pereira, comes back and fights Jamal Hill, beats him. What else are you going to do? There's nobody really around that division where you can just give him a shot. Blachowicz is booked. I don't really know who else there is for Yuri to fight. So overall, I do think that he should fight the champion, the winner, which will be Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, I'll make a video on this. Ankalaev's going to smash this dude, man. But I do think that this is the only fight for Prochazka. Next up is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, Umar, I don't know if you losing a title shot that was not undeserved technically, but not really deserved, should, make you bounce back and fight a guy like Deiveson Figueiredo. But the fight with Merab was very close. And I do think that I think it was closer than people want to say. But I do think that this is a good bounce back fight for him. Figgy is 37 years old. He got smoked by Peter Yan. And I would expect that, Davidson could give him a pretty tough fight. But I do think that Umar would get the nod ultimately here, and I do think that this is a solid matchup for him. Next up, Merab versus Yan or O'Malley. I do want to see Peter Yan and O'Malley fight in Miami, a 5-rounder. I don't know if they'll do that for the co-main event because I'm hearing talks about Pantoja being maybe fighting in Miami. So I do think that, I think we're going to see this fight again, man. Peter Yan O'Malley too. I really do want to see it. Both guys are coming. O'Malley was just, the champ. And Yan has proved himself, man. He just went out there and he beat Song Yadong. And then he just beat the hell out of Figueiredo, right? He deserves this kind of shot versus O'Malley. And whoever wins, man, Merab should fight. Simple as that. It sucks to say because it sucks because we have to probably give Peter, if he wins, you got to give him another title shot. And I know Merab smoked him 50-45, and it's tough to do that, but he's proved himself. If he goes out there and beats the former champion and another former champion, Deiveson Figueiredo, you kind of got to give him the shot. And I know people want to see Merab Pantoja. I like Pantoja. I think Pantoja would get drowned by Merab. I think it's a really, really hard fight for Pantoja. And I just think Merab would kill him. So I think Pantoja should stay down at flyweight until maybe one of these guys come and win the belt, because I think he'd have a better chance versus these guys instead of Merab. I think Merab would have his way. Too physical, too big, and that's kind of what Pantoja relies on, is being physical, being big. Merab's bigger. He's got better cardio, and maybe Pantoja could finish him with a knockout, but that's the only way I could see him winning the fight, honestly. I just think Merab would drown him. Next up, Money Moicano versus Paddy Pimblett. Now, Moicano, he should be able to make a pretty quick turnaround. I don't want to say he should just turn around in 2 months, but he didn't take a lot of damage. I don't know if that shoulder is still a problem. You can even see it in the picture here. I don't know if it's still a problem. He didn't really talk about it that much, and it could just be like that for the rest of his life, I guess. We don't really know. Look, man, losing to Makhachev like that is what I expected. I expected Makhachev to finish him early. No way I'd see that fight going past 2 rounds. And he got smoked by Makhachev, which I'd expect. Now, this is a good fight. Pimblett versus Moicano. A lot of, talk between these two and about these two fighting. I think we'll see this. I don't know when, but I do definitely think we're going to see this fight. And I'm very, excited. Stylistically, it's a good fight. Paddy's more of a power puncher on the other end. Moicano more of I would say, a better striker who, maybe not as athletic as Paddy with the takedowns and the wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but he is good, okay? And I do think that it's a tight fight. I'd probably lean the side of Paddy at the moment, but yeah. Next up, Islam Makhachev versus Oliveira. Now, Makhachev's in a tough predicament. I don't think he is going to go up and fight Bilal. Bilal's got to deal with Rakhmonov first, and we'll see what happens after that. But if Bilal wins and they decide not to fight, I think you just give the shot to Oliveira again, okay? And I know people are going to say, oh, he got destroyed. Oliveira defended his belt three times if you don't count the Gaethje bullshit. He deserves another shot, okay? And it's not like he, honestly, you'd see guys like this get not an automatic rematch, but close to that. And he beat Beneil Dariush, lost to Sarukian, very close fight, and come back and beats Chandler's ass, right? And I don't know if the fans are going to be too happy about this. I think it makes sense, though, and I do think that Makhachev will beat Charles' ass again, man. Makhachev is the best fighter on the planet for a reason. I don't see him losing to anybody at lightweight, and, Oliveira is a good fighter for sure. I think Makhachev has his way and beats his ass. That's going to do it for me, man. I hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.